Hey, most backpackers destroy their gear by not cleaning it. Whether you're not cleaning it enough, whether you're not cleaning it the right way, whether you just don't realize that it's getting dirty and it's starting to hurt your products. This is all stuff we're gonna be covering in this video because it's all super important. So there's a ton of stuff. A lot of you guys have a bunch of fears about either doing it wrong or not knowing how to do it, and that's really important to understand so that you can start to do it. There's also things that you guys don't even know are happening. Things such as micro mold, micro trace amounts of mold essentially growing in your sleeping bag that you're not even aware of. That's stuff that we need to cover in this video because it's super important. I don't want you to waste any money. I want your products to last a long time, and I also want them to perform for you. If you're interested in this kind of content, we're Outdoor Vitals. My name is Tayson Whitaker. I'm the founder here, and on this channel, we're all about getting you out on the trail more comfortably and more confidently so you can start living ultralight. Now, if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe, click the bell notification, and let's dive right in. So you see this sleeping bag right now, you see how lofty that piece is? Well, it might not be that lofty, and you might be asking yourself, why is my down not as lofty anymore? Or maybe you initially got it from somewhere and it's not that lofty. Well, there's some good reasons for that and stuff that you may not know, such as mold growth. See, a bag cannot even smell, you can't visibly see it, but it can start to lose fill power by mold growing in it. And it's something that is outside of your control sometimes. You sleeping in it, you're sweating in it, you're getting it dirty by getting it on the ground, or you're dirty when you get in the bag, and that's all going to start to lose fill power. Now, you don't want to lose fill power because you're losing warmth. What might be a 20-degree bag, such as I think this one's a 15-degree bag, may end up feeling more like a 30-degree bag just because it's losing its loft. See, down is an amazing product, but you need to make sure it's performing at its highest level. See, that's something that we need to cover so you know how to take care of that. Another thing would be waterproof, breathable membranes. See, this rain jacket right here, if this starts to collect dust, or salts or anything off your skin or oils, what's going to happen is it's going to be able to fail or wet out a lot easier. You don't want your rain jacket to wet out and just quit performing, to quit breathing. It's going to get soggy, it's going to get heavy, it's going to start holding on to moisture. All of these things are bad things. So if you want to avoid that, you've got to know how to clean it. Now, I'm no chemist. I don't particularly study detergents and things like that, but what I am going to tell you in this video is how I clean stuff and what has worked for me, and I'll give you some other options if you want to go above and beyond what I do. So let's start off by specifically talking about synthetics, wool, and waterproof membranes. See, all of these I typically am treating very similar. When it comes to things like our wool, right? This is our wool neck gaiter, or our Satu pants that I am wearing right here. All of these things are things that I'm going to be wearing more frequently, and washing is going to change a little bit. Now, my recommendation and how I typically wash things is I'm going to take these, I'm going to wash them in a front-loading machine washer. Now, the big key here is don't wash them in something that has an agitator. I've already seen a piece of Dragonwool came back that got wrapped around an agitator in a washer, and it wore and worked on that piece, and it was kind of sad to see. Plus, it smelled like laundry detergent. It was very clear they did not wash and take care of that piece, and it kind of wrecked it. So if you don't want that to be you, you're gonna wanna do this. Now, get a front-loading washer. That's your best thing, or anything without an agitator, you'll be able to wash these products in. Now, what I typically am doing is I'm going and finding a very gentle laundry detergent, something like Deft, I think is what it's called, for babies, where it's unscented, it doesn't have nearly as many chemicals in it, it's just a very soft, per se, or mild detergent. Now, I'm taking that and then I'm looking at the recommended dose and I'm cutting that back a little bit because most of the time detergents are going to tell you to use too much. Now, for me, I'm just going to cut back that a little bit. I'm using a very mild detergent. I'm going to wash it on cold, on a delicate cycle, and then once that's done, I always put to rinse it an extra time. Now, once all that's complete, don't throw it in the dryer. These types of products are not meant to be dried. It's gonna put a lot more wear and tear on your product. You don't wanna heat them up like that because that can wreck different things on it. Maybe it's your DWR that's gonna slowly come off just with the extra tumbling and things like that. So don't do that. Hang dry. Get in the habit of finding a place in your house to hang dry your Satu pants and your Dragonwool and your neck gaiters, because that is going to be how you need to dry all these things. Now, a couple really important points here is, one, it says very clearly on our Dragonwool and some of these other products, but don't wash them with items that have Velcro. And if you do have Velcro, make sure that Velcro is firmly attached, because Velcro it's a hook and loop system, right? So you basically have a bunch of hooks out there that are going to try to grab anything and everything they can on your performance textiles. Now you might be saying, hey, I thought you guys sold washes and you think that you need to use washes. Yes, we will get to that. This is just typically what I do for the stuff that I'm washing a lot more frequently. Now there's things that I'm not washing as frequently, such as rain jackets. So in a rain jacket such as this, I do go above and beyond. There's a few things that make me go above and beyond, and that's typically price point and frequency of washing and just the overall performance level of the products. Now a rain jacket like this might come in at about $200, so you're gonna wanna take care of that. Plus it's got a delicate membrane on the inside. So for a product like this, I'm gonna treat it exactly how I just talked to you about, but instead I'm going to use a Nick Wax Tech Wash. That is really, really important because it's just going to make sure that things like your seam taping and your membrane are all getting treated very appropriately. Now, again, with all of this stuff, make sure you rinse it extra, because any level of residue of that detergent is going to have an impact on the performance in a negative way. So then you might be asking, what about things like backpacks and boots? You can clearly see I take great care of these boots. No, I actually pulled these out of this closet. We're about to go hit the trail today, and I clearly could have taken better care of these boots. These are ones I retired a while ago, but they just fit the application today. So anyways, how do you take care of things like these? Well, with backpacks, the number one thing that I'm doing, and boots, I'm spraying them off frequently. I wanna make sure that the exterior fabric and the interior, if you can, is clean of debris. Typically, a lot of people are setting these down in the dirt and things like that. Just rinse them off. See, you get the trace amounts of dirt into this pack, especially into all these little seams down here along the bottom, and those trace amounts of dirt are going to have a negative effect. I don't know if you guys have ever climbed, but I know when my buddies take me out climbing, I'm not really a climber. In fact, if you see me out there, I'm just shaking. I'm not a climber. Good reasons for that. You know, I'm just a bigger guy. I don't know. Anyways, but when my buddies take me out climbing, they are adamant that that rope does not get in the dirt, right? Because that dirt, once it gets into the rope, starts to create a lot more abrasion. It's going to reduce the overall strength of the rope itself, and it's just gonna break down that rope a lot faster. The same's gonna go for stuff like this, right? If you let dirt get into these seams, if you let dirt get into this fabric, and over time, it's gonna create more abrasion, more wear and tear. It's gonna reduce the longevity of something like a backpack. So whenever possible, just keep it out of the dirt. Our designer Brigham is crazy about this. We just talked about this on a podcast. You may want to go check that out. But he makes sure that he hangs up his backpack everywhere he goes. Now that is excessive, and he will admit that, but the point is taken to keep your stuff clean, because the performance of the strength, I should say, of the fabrics is going to be longer lived. So I am constantly rinsing off my boots, taking a sponge to my boots, or doing the same with my backpack. If I need to get soap involved, I'll typically take a tote or a bathtub, and I'll put a little bit of that Nick Wax Tech Wash in there, and I'll do the same thing. Again, not very much. I'll soak it in there, I'll scrub it a little bit, I'll agitate it. The reason I am using that Tech Wash also with my boots is because there is typically gonna be a membrane in there. When you have any level of a Gore-Tex boot, a waterproof membraned boot, you've got a membrane in there, so you wanna treat it as such. So make sure you're rinsing off stuff like this, you're using the appropriate washes, and do it frequently, because just keeping that dirt off your backpack and off your boots as much as you can is going to increase the longevity and performance of it. All right, let's talk about down products. But before I maybe get into that, let's talk about synthetics, like this little hoodie that I'm wearing right here. I'm typically gonna treat this a lot like the Sawtooth pants and wool piece. You don't have to get any special washes for it typically, just as a heads up. With our hybrid blends of like Loft-Tech and down, I would treat them like down, so follow the instructions I'm about to lay into. Down is a super remarkable thing. We cannot reproduce what down can do. It's loft, it's weight, it's compression, it's something that's crazy unique, and because of that, we wanna treat it as such when we are washing it. And one of the number one myths I wanted to spell right up front is re-waterproofing your down. See, so many of us are so scared that down is going to lose its waterproofing that most of us are re-waterproofing it almost more than we're washing it. Now, when we talked to Allied Feather about this particular thing, they said that people need to wash them a lot more. Now, so a rule of thumb for me, because I've been like the one-to-one, right? Like wash it, re-waterproof it, wash it, re-waterproof it. The problem is sometimes if you re-waterproof stuff too much, you can get stuff to stick to that waterproofing, or you can plaster it to your down, and that can also hurt it. You don't want too much DWR on your down, or it'll start to lose loft in and of itself. So the better thing to do is clean it more often. Now for me, I'm probably gonna start using something like a 4-to-1 or 5-to-1 ratio of cleaning it versus re-waterproofing it. But that's my personal preference. That's not really based in science. From what I understand, we need to wash it a lot more and re-waterproof it a lot less. All right, so there's a million ways that you can get down dirty, whether it's crawling in your bag at the end of the day, not using sleeping bag liners, whether it's a jacket like this and you put it in the dirt, or you put it over a layer that's dirty, or whatever it is, they get dirty and they're gonna need to be cleaned. So how do I typically go about cleaning this? For me, I'm typically going to put them in a front-loading washer just the same. If you do not have a front-loading washer, you're gonna absolutely need to clean this by using your bathtub. Now, actually, a better thing to do is if you've never cleaned your bag, do it first in a bathtub. This is a really important thing because if you've never tried to take a bag like ours with that hyper dry down and you're trying to shove it in a bathtub, you will be absolutely amazed at the waterproofing. It really does blow you away. It is hard. It is hard to get these things wet. You literally have to compress them and shove them under the water and let them get wet, and it's a whole conundrum, right? But typically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a front loading washer, and I'm not gonna use regular detergent in this one. I am going to buy a little bottle of down wash from Nick Wax. That is your best way. Again, you're looking at something that's $200, $300, and it's got high level down in it. You just don't wanna treat it the same. You are gonna wanna get a bottle of wash for this, and you don't have to wash it that often. Proportionate for you. You're gonna wash it, you know, how much time you're using. If you're a thru hiker, you're obviously gonna wash it more than if you're just a weekend warrior going out once a month. But you are going to wanna wash it consistently, and you're gonna wanna use that down wash. Again, do it on cold, do an extra rinse cycle, do it on delicate, hang dry it. Now, there's a lot of talk about using a dryer for down. And I think the best way that I've heard it put is you can use a dryer to start and finish it, but typically what I do is I hang dry it. Now, when down is completely collapsed, it's completely failed, if you go put that out on a line to dry, it's gonna take a while because there's just no airflow at all. So what I would recommend is throw it in a dryer on the lowest heat setting you have, throw a couple tennis balls in there, and let it run for maybe 5 minutes maximum. That just gets the drying process started. Once you've done that, go hang it up, let it air dry itself, and then once it's done with that, throw it back in the dryer on no heat, and with those same tennis balls, and let those tennis balls agitate the down a little bit and break up any clumps that may have happened in the drying process. It's a really simple thing, but that's going to get you the most loft out of this and treat your down the best. Now, the same goes for jackets, or anything that's gonna have down in it. All right, so if you want your down and your performance textiles to perform, make sure you're washing them. By not washing them, again, dirt and grime and things can get in here. It can defeat the performance. It can also start to ruin things like membranes or backpack fabrics or whatever it is. So keep it clean. Follow this guideline. Again, I'm not perfect, but this is something that I have proven throughout my time backpacking to work very, very effectively. So keep your gear clean, stay warmer on the trail, make sure that your products are working for you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comments section. We appreciate you being here. Take care of your gear, and we'll see you out on the trail.